So, apparently, these boxes don't hold up very well. So, anyways, you want to find out what was in it? It's I don't know. I haven't really looked at them yet. But they look a little interesting. I lost my glasses. Hey, there's no special editing in this podcasting videoing. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, no fancy stuff here. And apparently, I have lost my glasses. So we'll see how well we do without them. Thunder Lord, Marion Zimmer Bradley. In the distant past, a lost colony ship from Terra crashed on the frigid planet that would become known as Darkover. The survivors developed psychic gifts called from Laram, which became the key to political power. They warped these powers of the minds to create ever more disastrous weapons, resulting in the Ages of Chaos, a period of uncontrolled warfare. The most dangerous Laram was the mental gift to sense and control devastating lightning storms, which proved decisive in the battle when the domain of Alderaan defeated their scath-filled cousins at an appalling cost to both sides. Don't know. I gotta figure out what I did with those things. Alright. Ruth Rendell, Not in the Flesh. When the truffle hunting dog starts digging furiously, his master's reaction is delight at the size of the clump the dog has unearthed. At the going rate, this truffle might be worth several £100. Then the dart falls away to reveal not a precious mushroom, but the bones and tendons of a human. In Not in the Flesh, Chief Inspector Wexford tries to piece together events that took place 11 years earlier, a time when someone was secretly interred in a secluded patch of English countryside. Now Wexford and his team will need to interrogate everyone who lives nearby to see if they can turn up a match for the dead man among the 85 people who disappeared in this town over the last decade. Huh. I wonder, is she still publishing now? Let's see. 2007. I doubt it. We could look though. This looks good. Have to see if she's still publishing. Yes, ma'am. Arlene Flower, State Fair. Someone likes it. Let's see. Folk art museum creator, rancher, and sometime sleuth Benny Harper returns with a long-awaited new mystery that has her attending the State Fair, a place for carameled apples, 4-H calves, colorful quilts, and homemade jams, and maybe just a little murder. For Benny, the annual San Selena Mid-State Fair is much anticipated break in her normal routine of overseeing the museum exhibits, temple artists, and stubborn cattle. Even her police chief husband, Gabe Ortiz, takes time from his busy schedule to enjoy the fair. This year is extra special showing of the African American quilts, co-sponsored by the Folk Art Museum and the Ebony Sisters Quilt. And then one is stolen, and her aunt is suspected of thievery. Suzanne Woods Fisher. We just did the Amish the other day. The imposter. Katrina Stoltz thought she had life and love all figured out. She was going to marry John and live happily ever after. But as her plans crumble before her eyes, she struggles to face an uncertain future. When a widow asks for help starting a new business, Katrina quickly agrees. She needs time to heal her broken heart, to untangle her messy life, to find a purpose. What she doesn't need is attention from Andy Miller, a farmhand who arrives at the widow's farm just when help is needed, and who always seems to say the right thing and be in the right place at the right time. Is Andy real or too good to be true? Joy Fielding, Someone is Watching. A special investigator for hotshot Miami law firm Bailey Carpenter, smart, savvy, and fearless. When she's assigned to spy on a deadbeat dad in the middle of the night, Bailey thinks nothing of the potential dangers, only that she needs to gather evidence. Then she's blindsided, attacked, and nearly killed. Now the firm grip Bailey had once on her life is shaken. Her nightmares merge into her waking hours, and unable to venture beyond her front door without panicking. A virtual prisoner in her own home, Bailey is uncertain whom she can trust, but old habits die hard, and soon Bailey finds a new use for her life: binoculars. Casually observing from her window neighboring buildings and other neighbors' lives. This seems harmlessly diversion becomes a guilty pleasure when Bailey fixates on the handsome guy across the street, until she realizes that he is also watching her. Oh, we've seen him often. In The Garden of the Beasts, ERIK LARSON. The time is 1933. The place, Berlin. William D. Dodd becomes America's first ambassador to Hitler's Germany in a year that proved to be a turning point in history. A mild-mannered professor from Chicago, Dodd brings along his wife, son, and flamboyant daughter, Martha. At first, Martha is entranced by the parties and prompt and handsome young men of the Third Reich, with their infectious enthusiasm for restoring Germany to a position of world prominence. But as evidence of Jewish persecution mounts, confirmed by chilling first-person testimonies, her father telegraphs his concerns to a largely indifferent State Department back home. Dodd watches with alarm as Jews are attacked, the press is censored, and drafts of frightening new laws begin to circulate. Yeah, this is going to be awfully depressing. And it was a serious time in this world, in Germany, in the world. It was a horrible time. If there's one thing, there's a couple of things. If you could go back in time and save at least a few people, you go back to 1900, 1920. You go back a little further, and you tell the Jewish people in Germany, you can come back in 1950, or 60 even. You can come back, but you need to be gone from Germany in the 1940s, or you will be dead. There's just no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And the other one if you want to go on a smaller scale, well, two smaller scales, go back to 9/11 and tell everybody, nobody go to work on 9/11. Just, if you work in the trade towers, call in sick that day. And the Titanic. You tell them to get more lifeboats. You insist on lifeboats. You demand lifeboats. You pretend you're a billionaire and pay for lifeboats. Tell them you want an extra 50. You want enough lifeboats for every single person on that ship. And see what happens. But those are the minor ones. But always, when some kind of tragedy, I always think of World War II and Germany and all those people that didn't have to die. On a lighter side, Bombshell, a Hollywood A-list, C.D. REISS. A Hollywood bad boy, Brad Sinclair, always gets his way, whether it's the role he wants or the bikini-clad model he has to have. But when a bombshell gets dropped in his lap in the form of a dimpled 5-year-old from a forgotten relationship, he knows life is going to change forever. Anne Bishop, marked in flesh. Since the others allied themselves with Cassandra saying, the fragile yet powerful human blood prophets who were being exploited by their own kind, the delicate dynamic between humans and others has changed. Some, such as Simon Wolfgard, Wolfshifter and leader of the Lakeside Courtyard, and the blood prophet Meg Corbin, see the new closer companionship as beneficial both personally and practically. Interesting. Vince Flynn, American assassin. Before he was considered a CIA super agent, before he was thought of as terrorist's worst nightmare, and before he both loathed and admired politicians on Capitol Hill, Match Rapp was a gifted college athlete without a care in the world, and then tragedy struck. 2 decades of cutthroat partisan politics have left the CIA and the country in an increasingly vulnerable position. Cold War veteran and CIA operations director Thomas Stanford knows he must prepare his people for the next war. The rise of Islamic terrorism is coming, and it needs to be met abroad before it reaches America's shores. So Stanfield directs his prodigy Irene Kennedy and his old Cold War colleagues, Stanley, to form a group of clandestine operators who will work outside the chain of command, men who do not exist. What type of man is willing to kill for his country without putting on a uniform? This is an early one. 2010. BRIANHAIG. The Night Crew. Lieutenant Colonel Sean Drummond, a cocky U.S. lawyer who's not afraid to be blunt, finds himself up to his neck in a case he didn't take. 5 soldiers tasked with guarding Iraq prisoners stand accused of committing depraved atrocities against their charges. Drummond is assigned to defend one of them, a hands-capable young woman who's either incredibly naive or deceptively evil. Hi. A Plain Scandal, an Appleseed Creek mystery. A Plain Scandal finds the people of Appleseed Creek in Ohio's Amish country under attack soon after the dust is settled on a buggy accident that turned out to be murder. An unbeknownst assailant begins cutting off the long hair of Amish women and the beards of young men. New to the area, computer specialist Chloe Humphrey may not share their customs, but she's certainly alarmed over these crimes against the Amish and worries how such events will impact her growing number of friends who are connected to that way of life. Suzanne Woods Fisher, Christmas at Rose Hill. Bess found herself remembering what Billy had looked like as a young man of 18. He was still every bit as gloriously handsome as he'd always been, but the roguish twinkle in his eye was gone. His face was drawn tighter at the lids of Mammy's rose-petal jam jars. It seemed as if he could barely tolerate being here. And if she and all of Stony Ridge were nothing but a great inconvenience to him, then why was he here? Kim Stanley Robinson, 50 Degrees Below. When the storm got bad, scientist Frank Vander Waal was at work formalizing his return to the National Science Foundation for another year. He'd left the building just in time to help sandbag an Arlington cemetery. Now that torrent was over, large chunks of San Diego had eroded into the sea, and D.C. was underwater. Shallow lakes occupied the most famous parts of the city. Reagan Airport was awash, and the Potomac had spilled beyond its banks. Rescue boats dotted the saturated landscape. Everything Frank and his colleagues in the halls of justice and politics feared had culminated in this massive disaster. Now the world looked to them to fix it. How old is this? 2005. Fine Bova. Orion and King Arthur. More than human, less than God, Orion has fought across time and space at the whims of his creators, godlike beings from the future who toy with human history like spoiled children playing with dolls. From the frozen wastes of the Ice Age to far-flung interstellar empires, Orion has been both assassin and hero, all the while striving to reunite with Anya, the ageless goddess who is his one true love. Now Orion finds himself in Britain in the dark years after the Romans abandoned the island kingdom. Minor kings and warlords feud against them amongst themselves, even as invading hordes of Saxon and Angles threaten to sweep over the land. Then Orion befriends a young warrior named Arthur who dreams of uniting his crawling countrymen and driving the invaders from their lands. Along with the brave comrades, Arthur hopes to stem the tide of barbarism and create a new peace and prosperity. You think he'll get it done? And there's a 60 chick involved. We'll see what happens there. Napoleon's Exile, Patrick Rambaud. By 1814, Bonaparte is reeling from the debacle of Russian invasion. The Allies capture Paris, force him to abdicate, and place the last Bourbon, Louis VIII, on the throne. Octave Senil, Napoleon's loyal aide, tells a spellbinding tale of the leader's subsequent exile and journey south through the angry mob-filled countryside to Elba, a tiny island off the coast of Tuscany. Napoleon's exile brings to life only the general and ruler, but the man bored by his sequestration, gambling his mothers to the past time, spearing the occasional tuna with local fishermen, and fretting constantly that secret agent and murderers around him. Soon he is planning his escape, while in France his former soldiers spend their evenings drinking to the return of the absent. They do not have to wait long. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come down here. And I think that is the end of the box. Have a good one.